Hey, thanks for stopping by my neck of the woods. I'm the gig geezer in Wood Lane, and when I'm out there driving, I'm out there to make some money. I want to help you maximize your gig hustle. Okay, I'm actually in the midst of completing a stacked order. A stacked order, for those of you who are new to YouTube, new to the gig economy, that is when a food delivery app sends you two orders to either from two different locations to the same person, or you're picking up separate orders from different locations to two separate people, or another possibility is when you're picking up from the same location and you're actually delivering orders to two different people. That said, the reason why I am doing this segment of the Gig Geezer is because I actually saw a video segment from another driver who has a channel. His name is Kevon Truth, and he offered some very good pointers to new gig workers, gig delivery drivers for DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Instacart, and on down the list. And not that I'm trying to outdo him or anything like that, but I just wanted to offer my take on some things that I have learned, some things that are really my observations after 5 years in the gig economy that may also help you get up to speed, or even if you're still relatively new, perhaps find an edge that will help you get to the next level in your gig hustle. Now, I have 7 points that I want to share. 7 points. And the first one is, now, while you may be browsing these channels to compile information that you feel may help you, you will see where people are talking about they've made $30 an hour, $40 an hour, $200 in a day, $500 in a day, whatever it is. I really recommend that you don't get consumed by those numbers, because those numbers can be discouraging, they can be intimidating, they can be very daunting. While by and large, a lot of the information that is being uploaded on these channels may be valid, may be verifiable and all, what can happen is that if you don't achieve those numbers when you feel that you should, you can become discouraged and may want to just give up on doing gig work, which may defeat your purpose for signing up on these apps anyway. Because let's be real, when you sign on to do DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and any of the other apps, you wanted to make some money. So my goal is to help you make that money. The next thing I want to share with you is something that I often talk to people about when I run into other drivers, and they ask me about, what's my thinking about doing gig work and all. Number one, I tell people that you have to treat this as a business, but I'm going to go a little further than that. What I'm talking about is having a W-2 mentality versus a 1099 mentality. Now, the reason why I say that you have to treat this as a business is because, as these terms of agreements articulate, you are an independent contractor. The money that you make, they don't take out any taxes. So that means you have to think in terms of a 1099, because at the end of the tax year, or sometime at the end of January, beginning of February, you will receive by email or by mail a 1099 statement. And it's going to show how much you made straight up for the previous year. Whereas when you are a W-2, you go to your job, you put in your hours, you are paid by hourly or by salary, whatever it is. You know what you're going to expect every time you go to work. As a 1099, you don't know what you're going to make. And so what I often tell people is that my concern is what I do at the end of the day, at the end of the month, and at the end of the week. I didn't mention in order, but I'll say it again. My concern is what I do at the end of the day, at the end of the week, and at the end of the month. And so me thinking in terms of, as a business person, I am my own business person. And so I have to make decisions that are good for my business. And if you're running a business, that is your goal. You're not looking to make decisions that will be detrimental to your business, because then you will be out of business. So along those lines, the main thing is that you may come across material in which people say, well, I made this much an hour. Okay, that's nice. But that doesn't always equate when it comes to doing 1099 work. Because you are your own businessman, you are your own businesswoman. And so when you're running a business, without getting into all the nomenclature and vernacular and lexicon of running a business, just know that really your main concern as a 1099, an independent contractor, is that it's about what you do at the end of the day, at the end of the week, and at the end of the month. That's all that matters. The hourly stuff, that's nice conversation, but that stuff is what can get you derailed. Because when you're starting out, you may not make $100 in 3 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 4 hours, or 5 hours. It may take you 8 hours to make $100. And 8 hours, $100, that's $12.50 an hour. Well, depending on what your reason for getting into gig work, that may be fine for you. But if you have eyes of being your own boss and, trying to make the money that what you are seeing on YouTube and on my channel in particular, selfishly speaking, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it at all. You might as well go back to being a W-2. What I'm saying is, don't have a W-2's mentality doing a 1099's work. I just dropped off that second of 2 orders. And while I said that I have 7 points that I want to share with you, I want to share a bonus one with you, just because I think it's very, very important, very, very vital, and very, very relevant. When you deliver your orders, make sure that you have the correct address. I can't tell you how many times I have botched delivering to the wrong address. Also, make sure that you are dropping off the correct items to the person. You want to get bad marks in DoorDash. You want to get accusations of orders not delivered to the wrong address, and deliver the wrong items to the wrong person. So make sure that you do that. You'll thank me for that bit of advice. Now, moving right along. So you're delivering orders, and you are people are beginning to see you. I think this goes without saying, and it's almost human nature, but be mindful of the rapport that you have with the restaurants, because as with anything, you want folk to treat you the way you treat them. If you treat them right, in most cases, they will treat you right. And that goes a long way with food delivery work. Another thing, when you're out here, try to prepare yourself with each order. Now, what I mean by that is understand that, there are certain things that are a part of the order. There's the person's name, there's a person's address, but also the items. Prepare yourself for the items. Now, this is worthy of another video, another conversation, though. But for the sake of this video, you are supposed to have a food bag with you, and you may have a cup. You may have invested in your own cup holders. As a part of preparation, look at the items. Look at the items on that order. If it says it's got strictly food, then you just need your bag. If it's got drinks, you need to bring your cup holder. So have those things with you. Also, pay attention to where the drop-off location is. Now, I'm talking to people who are relatively new, and then folk who are looking to get that edge in their hustle. For those who are new, look at the address. With DoorDash, what you're supposed to do on DoorDash, what you should do is on the page where you just accepted order, you're going to see the address to the restaurant. You're going to see the map page where it tells you how you should get there to the restaurant. and then you'll see the estimated pickup time. You'll also see the two boxes where it says on this dash and then the amount that you're supposed to make on that order. And just above that, there are 3 horizontal bars. You want to click that. Clicking that horizontal bar, you're going to see two areas. You're going to see the restaurant and its address, and you can see the customer and his or her address. What you want to do then is click the customer's address, and then it will give you the contents of the it will give you the items that are supposed to be with that order. If you're on Grubhub, the address is clearly self-evident. If it's Uber Eats, what you're going to get when you see the notification is our cross streets. That comes from the Uber driver app, whereby that is nothing more than an approximation of where the address is going to be. You will not see the actual address until you mark the order as picked up. Then you'll get the actual address. Now the same thing, for those of you who are a little further along, when you get a stacked order from Uber Eats, the cross-street approximation is for the second address. It is not for the first address. It is for the second address. And the first address, you won't know until you mark that order as picked up. And then you won't know the second address until you mark the first order as delivered. If this is Bite Squad, well, that's a different animal altogether. The only clue that you get with an address is you have on the accepting screen, you see the restaurant, the address of the restaurant, the estimated pickup time, and the estimated drop-off time. So that time span, so if it's 12 o'clock for an estimated pickup and 12:20 for an estimated arrival, that gives you an idea of how far you may have to drive or whatever. In my market, 20 minutes can be a pretty good hike. But in another market, depending on the density of the population, that could be a different factor as well. But that is the only clue you're going to get. That 20 minutes can be misleading. But you will not know where you can pick up. You will not know with Bite Squad where your drop-off location will be until you mark that order as picked up. Understand traffic patterns, traffic flow, and the nuances of where you're going. And a lot of that is going to be over time, and time being your driver of experience. But what happens is that you're going to realize that at certain times of the day that this place is going to be crowded, or you're going to be going to an area where you know that the addresses may not be in order. Just things like that. I mean, things like that really make a difference in maximizing your hustle. I'm going to throw this one in as a bonus, even though I mentioned about the primary food delivery apps, Instacart. The way you recognize where the customer's address is going to be is that once you accept the order, you see on the acceptance screen, you see the address, you see the little map, the restaurant, the grocery store that you're supposed to go pick up, or the place of pickup. At the top right-hand corner is a black dot, and you want to tap that dot in order for it to give you the customer's address upon accepting the order. Now, this is something for those who are a little further along. If you are entertaining adding other apps, because it is recommended by many of us to get on as many apps as you can. It's just basically diversifying your income stream or your income potential with doing gig work. I learned this. This is my suggestion. Do it gradually. Add one app on at a time. Don't add them all on at a time. Unless, I know that many of the markets, there's a waiting list. So if there's a waiting list, that means you're adding it on, it's going to be incremental anyway. But once you've added on those apps, once you've been brought on by these app companies, don't turn them all on at the same time. Don't turn on all the apps at the same time. Don't turn them all on. Work one or two at a time. So for that reason, what I recommend is this. Most people are on DoorDash. If you add on Uber Eats, that would be a good compliment. Or if you have DoorDash and Grubhub, that would be a good compliment. or Grubhub and Uber Eats. Any of those three, any of the combination of those three. So that's what, 6 possibilities. There's 3 individual and then 2 pairs. When it comes to Bike Squad, I would not add on Bike Squad until you have gotten to a point where you feel rather proficient with your market. Because with Bike Squad, the only possibility that you may have, the only hint that you may have is when you look on an order with Bike Squad, once you accepted it, is the estimated window for delivery. Another quick point that I would suggest starting out and still early on in your experience is don't accept every order. Do not accept every order. You want to leave yourself open for discouragement and problem customers and just bad experience. Accept every order. I learned this the hard way. And since I mentioned that I started on Postmates and DoorDash, specifically DoorDash. When I first started on DoorDash, I tried to keep my numbers, every last number, in the green. And 90% or better. 95% or better, in fact. And what I found was that I wasn't making any money. I was suffering with my driver rating. And I got to a point where I was discouraged. And I found, it's almost like a correlation that I found on my own. As I stopped accepting all those numbers, I started to make more money and my driver rating went up. The last point I want to share for anyone, and this is of any level of experience, and this is something that I often tell people, is know when to go home. Why do I say know when to go home? It's almost like when you're gambling, and if you heard the old song by the late Kenny Rogers, The Gambler, says know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away when the dealing's done. It's the same thing with gig work. In the course of a day, in the course of a week, in the course of a month, you're going to have days that are really good. You're going to have days that are really bad. And also, you're going to, just physically, there are days when you may just not be as sharp as you think you should be or are. And those may be indicators, may be signs of when you need to know when to go home or even stay home. Now, I realize that our basic motive for being out there is because of a need, and the need is to make money. There's only one of you, and so if you're unable to go out there, or if you're out there and you're not sharp and you're making mistakes by missing addresses, delivering to the wrong places, you're dropping off the wrong items to the wrong person. These things can catch up with you real fast. And as an old math instructor used to say, the roof will cave in on you real fast. So keep that in mind. Know when to go home. Well, I've shared 7 pointers that I believe, and a bonus one, that I believe that will help you get up to speed in your gig economy experience. I also believe that these will help you if you're a little further along or even much further along to maximize your gig hustle. Well, until next time, I am Inwood Lane, and may your hustle continue.
Thank you for checking out this segment of the Gig Geezer. If you like the content that's been provided, hey, hit that subscribe button and also give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or useful information that you'd like to pass on to the Gig Geezer, I can be reached at giggeezer3.5@gmail.com.